Mantanotnya of Inalahan. 7 a.m. There was something that dropped yesterday. I saw it on Chamorro Work. Well, it was actually Micronesia Woke Twitter. And it was a clip that was out of a Netflix show called The Big Show. And this was a clip, and I didn't even know. I just saw a bunch, there's a lot of chatter I saw on my Twitter feed, and I clicked on it. It was, well, we can't really play it because obviously it's Netflix content, and we don't want to shut down our live stream, but we do have a montage here that we're going to pop up, and if you guys want to go, it was on our KUAM News Instagram story. A lot of people have shared this little clip, which was ripped from a full episode of this show, The Big Show. So we're going to go ahead and pop up the graphics, and I'll kind of walk you guys through the show's premise. Was that it's in a high school, and they were doing kind of a full Olympics thing, and different groups of the people got to represent different countries, and so there was one group that represented Micronesia, and they were just making a lot of jokes. They said, "Oh, we had to represent a terrible country in Micronesia," and people just kind of, the outrage was there, the retweets, the shares, just people going in on it, and I think it's really interesting because over the last 5-10 years, we hear that a lot. Oh, Chamorros are Micronesians too, and I think this is something that, although it's negative, right? It's insulting. Right? It's ignorant, right? What's it really doing, though? It's actually bringing our community closer together. Okay? So I want to go to the Zoom room. We're waiting on Senator Clinton Rigel, but we do have our very own man, Victorious Falan. Thanks for joining us, man. I know you don't wake up. You haven't woke up this early since our radio days back in the day. But
Good morning, Vic.
Man, I got to tell you guys, Vic he's just one of our shining stars here at KUAM. I know that... you guys, he does the One Micronesia podcast. Yeah. And I met Vic way back in Yap. I want to say it was 2007 or anyway, showing my age. It was not that long ago. Right. And so he ended up coming back to Guam, and we worked on radio together. But he's off doing some really great things for the stations at KUAM and the One Micronesia podcast. Vic, I just want to take it to you. I know that you saw this clip. I know there's just a lot of engagement on social media. Tell me, when you saw it, how offended were you?
I was pretty sad to me when I first saw it, because I think if you were following, the thing that really got people was they posted a picture. This was 2 weeks ago, and I think they were hyping up the big launch of I guess they're going into season 2 or something. So they posted a picture of the big show and I guess the cast of the family, and they had all the Micronesia shirts on. There's the 4 stars, and it said Micronesia across it, the blue shirts. So they posted that picture, and it kind of went viral. A lot of people were tweeting, reposting it, and people were saying like, "Wow, this is so cool! Like, I can't wait to see what this is about." Blah blah blah. And then just yesterday, when I guess they dropped the show, and people finally found out what was all about, I guess everybody was like, "Wow, we didn't expect that." People thought we were gonna get some representation in there, but instead. The Micronesia kind of got a terrible representation, so to speak. So it just, people were shocked, and I was just like, wow, like, hey, we didn't expect that. That's all.
Yeah. And so that's an interesting timeline of it, Bree, is that if you go back to that post from a couple weeks ago, there was just all kinds of...
so much hype.
Right. And Micronesians were like, yeah, we're getting our shot. Yeah, we're going to get our shine. And then to just be duped. I mean, straight up a burn deal. Right?
Yeah, I wouldn't be upset. I'd probably be more like pissed.
Right, yeah. And I think for me, personally, at this age, I've seen this kind of thing how many times. I just don't have the stamina to get outraged every single time someone is ignorant about us, because I just expect it, I mean, we're not the U.S., and the people in the U.S. are just all fixated on the U.S., and they don't have that worldview that we have here.
Yeah.
And so the comments, I mean, they ranged kind of from just, people cussing to just people who were hurt, people who were offended, to, I got one comment on my Instagram, Vic, and this guy was like, oh, I don't really think it's a big deal, because we are bad at the Olympics. I was like,
so somebody was saying something like that. Oh, no, they were just referring to it, as, because in the Olympics, the standings in the Olympics.
Right.
But I'm just like, yeah, but you didn't say it. You just straight up said terrible country.
And it's just a bad look when you got a bunch of white people
Yeah.
pretending to be from Micronesia and just saying. And the way I look at it, it's the S-hole test for me. Remember, if you go back and President Trump had said that there's a bunch of countries that are just S-hole countries. You guys know what I'm saying? Talkie hole countries? Right. So if you took what they said on Netflix and you replaced the terrible with the S, it's the same thing. So I could see definitely what do we do moving forward, Vic? Do we? I think we try and get Netflix to apologize. People are tagging them on all kinds of posts. People are tagging the writers, right? People are tagging the show. But you guys on Instagram, man, I had tagged. There's an Instagram account. This is real key, guys. It's the Big Show, and I had tagged them in my Instagram story, and they actually messaged me back this morning, and they said, "Hey, this is a fan account. I'm just a fan of this show. I got nothing to do with the show, and I'm getting bombarded with a lot of messages." And they were like, "Can you just please stop sending messages? I've got nothing to do with this." So just be careful, guys. And that in a way, this is bullying. They're bullying us by making these stereotypes. But in our reaction, we also have to be careful to not be as bad as they were to us. And that kind of, when I woke up and I saw that, I was like, oh my God, this guy's got nothing to do with the show. It's just a guy who's a fan of it. I felt bad because I don't want to put out that vibe that's being put out on us,
Do you remember that time there was it a beer or something
right,
that came out? Kind of reminds me of was it
the Bikini Atoll beer?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
Vic, you see a lot of similarities?
Yes, and there's these. Also, I think there's a petition too going around.
Right.
I think they. Last I checked this morning, there are about 1,000 signs left. To get. I think. Well, when they first started the petition, it was to shut down Netflix, but then I think they kind of changed the wordings to pretty much have Netflix apologize.
Right. Yeah.
I guess that's where we're at now.
I mean, shut down Netflix. That's like, whoo, that's up there. It's funny. I put a poll on my Instagram, and I was like, hey, who's going to cancel their Netflix account? Because, I was just kind of thinking, my woke friends, we're so outraged, but are we going to cancel our Netflix account? Let me give you the latest numbers here on this, Vic. I was kind of surprised. Yes, 52%. No, 48%.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of the things that really hit too was because Big Show was in WWE or WWE, whatever.
Right.
And it was big back. Before we got into UFC, that was the big thing back in the islands. I remember. So a lot of people were watching this, and Big Show was one of the main wrestlers that people were cheering for, other than The Rock. Because he's from the island. So, seeing him in a show like this, and when we first saw that first picture with him and the family, that's why that hype was so high. Like, wow, Big Show is representing. The 4 stars, the Micronesian region, that's a big thing, right? And then all this to come to be, everybody's like, wow. So I guess everybody's just like upset, let down, stuff like that. So I just hope there's something happens after this petition or some apology from the writers or.
It's kind of crazy that flew in 2020. I mean, dude, you're gonna put that on? What was Netflix thinking? Like, where's your quality control guy at? Vic, how do we remedy this? I mean, obviously we want to put out an image of ourselves so that people get it right. So what can we do? I mean, I'm not saying we can make these creators of these shows any less ignorant, but do you think there's anything we can do to put out a consistent message about who we are, and more importantly, who we aren't?
Well, I think the who we are thing, and I think it's happening right now, is seeing all the islands come together. It might be just one word, terrible, but you see everybody stand up, and you see all this Instagram, and from Palau through Guam to all the way to the Marshall Islands, everybody's sticking together, and really showing whoever wrote that hey man, you're not only messing with one island, you're messing with a gazillion islands that are coming together. So it's really cool to see how every island is standing up for something so little as a word called terrible. Mm-hmm. So I love to see the unity that we're seeing, and I see a lot of it in the next coming days. So I hope that to them they'll see like, oh, we shouldn't have put terrible. We should have kind of did our research and then go into this and kind of switch it up a little bit. So I don't know. We just hope to see maybe another episode to kind of explain more of what they would have should have done.
Right. Yeah, or maybe even an episode, highlighting how insensitive, and then maybe like, hey, people reacted, and we want to make it better. Vic, I really key in on what you said about the silver lining and all this, in that we're coming together, right? And that I think is a really a good show of who we are. Vic, thanks. One Micronesia podcast. Fridays. Who you got coming on tomorrow? You got somebody tomorrow?
Well, I just got off the phone right before I jumped on here, just to talk about the same issue.
Nice.
She hasn't gotten back to me until just this morning. So it's she runs her own podcast in the States, and she put out a video too that kind of went viral yesterday. So I'm going to have her on the podcast and just continue with the talks.
Nice.
So hopefully we'll get more on her.
But does I have to show my tits?
Right. Okay, good.
Oh, sorry. Can they hear me?
All right, thanks a lot,
Thank
Vic.
you, Vic.
Again,
All
One
right.
Micronesia. It
Okay.
airs on
right.
6:30 p.m. on KUAM TV8, and it will also be posted
I'm not
onto
ready
our
yet.
Facebook page.
Because I got to go through this.
Okay, thank you, Vic.
Thanks, Vic.
All right, appreciate it. That's Victorious Falan. He is a Yappies native.